We sent the beat to Weezy. I didn't really know what he was gonna do to the Cannon beat, but it was back within an hour. He gave us 3 minutes straight, and we was like, damn.
Howdy do, motherfuckers, it's Weezy, baby. Niggas bitchin' and I gotta tote them. Cannon. Listen close, I got duct tape and rope. I leave you missing like the fucking old band.
Check it out, world. It's your boy Don Cannon. Welcome to paradise, the lovely Miami, Florida. We just arrived at Circle House where I made Cannon for Lil Wayne, Busta Rhymes, T.I., DJ Drama. And I'm gonna show you how it went down today at the legendary studio. Let's go. Yeah, y'all can't beat this weather. This is Miami, Florida. We're at Circle House. It's a lot of history at the studio. Newer artists have came to start careers here, but this is one of my favorite studios when I come to paradise. I'm thankful that BB let me have this room again. In the new age, we can have our computer and we can sit here and make beats and jump in the pool and move around. We can't do that. When I had my machine, I had to stay in the room. But I always loved the studio because coming from the inner city, we didn't get a lot of sun, we didn't get a lot of palm trees. So this just gives you just more energy to come out and just make dope music, meet people. You know, every time I came in here, I was able to meet somebody. One of those guys was Fiend. He came with me to the studio and was the first writer to actually write on a Cannon record. The record was done for Trick Daddy right here, 2006. Me and Trick Daddy never ever got a chance to connect. I was able to take the record and get it to some popular people. Busta Rhymes was first. Then we moved on to Lil Wayne and DJ Drama's first LP. But yeah, Fiend was the first person to be here. We're gonna talk to him later, perspective on what went down and what was the energy when we actually made them records in 2006. Check it out, y'all. We're at the legendary Circle House, and it's the recreation of the Cannon remix. A lot of y'all don't know the story about the Cannon remix, but this is the exact room I made the beat in, Miami, Florida. One of the things I wanted to point out was how many people were involved from the beginning. My thought process coming down here was to bring somebody with an intelligent brain with me, was one of the greatest writers in rap music. The writer happened to be Fiend from New Orleans, fellow producer named Detroit Red, which came down here to Miami when I actually created the record. My thought process for the Cannon remix was, when I initially came to Miami, Florida, I was engaged from Atlantic Records to work with Trick Daddy, and I came down to Circle House to work with him, and I just wanted to create a vibe that could work for East Coast and down South. I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I did know that I wanted to implement the horns that I already had put out with Go Crazy, and I searched high and wide. So I knew I couldn't travel with my turntable, my mixer, so what I had to do was bring the mini CD player down, which I recorded all my samples. I recorded all the hardest samples, and you know I had to go for Curtis Mayfield, Barry White, Love Unlimited Orchestra. But those are the records that I knew could give me energy when I came down here. And the first record that I had on there was from a soundtrack called Together Brothers, which was orchestrated by Barry White. And the theme of it happened to be the sample from Come On Ride This Train. And I was like, oh, that's a Miami classic. How can I flip that into an East Coast bounce but could work for down South artists? And that was my whole mindset. So I spent like almost 4 or 5 hours going through samples trying to figure out how I can get to that space. I never told nobody this. When I was messing with the sample, I actually landed on some of the chops by accident. Some of the chops just sounded so right that I wound up keeping it. Just having people in the room with you, like Fiend and Detroit Red, and they hear things, and they're like, oh, that's hot, you know, and I did it. He actually started, you know, mumbling a hook to himself, so I just finished the beat right there. We actually came up with the masterpiece, Cannon Remix. So I'm gonna go through some of the pieces that I did. You know, I got my trusty floppy disk, trusty ASR. The mini CD player is not here, but I do have the original sample. I'm gonna play it, go through it, we're gonna sample it and recreate it. As you can see already, this is the sample. Come on, ride this train. I just wanted to use this as an intro so people knew what it was. I entered a couple beat battles actually using this sample and just playing a beat after, and people went crazy, so I just wanted to make sure that I kept that same energy. I chose to either sample from the bridge or the end of the record. So that's the whole record. After sitting with it, this is the trick I used to do, and a lot of people do with these machines. I sampled it and left mono, so it took some of the sounds out. So that's why it doesn't sound the same as when the beat comes out. You know, when you pan certain samples, if you go to the right, you might hear vocals and drums. And you go to the left, you might hear horns, strings, different things. So those are the things that I often would do to try to make the sound different. I'm gonna sample it in and then, you know, get some pieces and show you how we did it. So you can already hear still taking some of the ARP out a little bit. I'll resample it from this beginning part. Let me see how it sounds on right. See how dirty that came out on the right side? And that's the left side. Can't do that on the computers. So that's how I got that dirty feel. All right, so I got that first part. I'm gonna go to the second part. Now I'm gonna get the end of the record like I showed you. Go get the last part. So now I got my chops in there. This is how I would edit it. Turn all of them up. So that's how we'll start the chopping up. So now you got my chops. So basically what I'm doing is chopping up each piece. The gifted thing about the ASR is that I can put things on different pads and do different chops. And the reason why I didn't like the MPC was because you had to chop, copy, chop, copy. And in this machine, you could just chop it. You know, on the ASR keyboard, you could do the same thing. It's just already there. I had multiple copies. I was just chopping and I didn't have to chop a little piece, copy that to the next pad. I just had them already lined out. I don't even know if this was supposed to be like this because I'm overwriting the sounds that were in the machine. You know, these machines, they only had about 24 seconds worth of sample time. My cheat code was chop it in pieces. That way I'm only sampling 8 seconds piece. So this is 3 pieces that I chopped for 8 seconds. Once I had my chops, I would send them to different sides. So when you actually heard the beat, the pans would go dun 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 dun. So you know, so now I got them going in different, you know, speakers. When you had that headphone on, it's just attacking you. Sometimes I wouldn't pan it all the way, so I go like, you know, stop at like maybe 45. So you still get like a little bit of center frequency as well. So it's pan, but it's just at like 40. Also with these machines, we didn't have no time stretch. We also didn't have warping like Ableton. So I had to chop each piece so I can go on beat the right way. Obviously, I had to do that for the intro to be on beat. We're doing records, we have to figure out the tempo first. I felt like Trick Daddy was one of them guys that could rap on a lot of different tempos. Slower records, real hip hop records. So I just wanted to say, what would be my tempo for a Trick Daddy record? A lot of up tempo, East Coast records was 90, 95, 100. Then you had South records was like 70, 72, 75. I tried to meet in the middle at 80. Not too fast, not too slow. So the first thing I would do is go to the drums that were saved. That was a kick that I made. It's a normal clap, nothing special about that. Tam, I don't know where I got the tam from, but it ended up being in a lot of records that I used for like 6 years. So then we got the clap in there. So that's a basic drum pattern. Again, why I use so many basic drum patterns, because I DJ and I noticed that people that dance in the club didn't want a lot of records with drum patterns doing a lot because it disturbs the flow of the lyrics. What I would do was just make it as simple as possible so people can get in nice and open, get your rap off, and do as much as you can. And that's for me to get out the way with drums and too many harsh samples. I also had a gunshot in that time because at the time when Fiend wrote the hook, he was talking about an AK. You know, AKs were really popular then. So I was like, yo, how can I just, you know, amplify this beat a little bit? So, by the way, I'm doing this all with my memory. Back then, I didn't like to use a lot of hi-hats because I felt like that was a rhythm thing again. I just wanted to keep it all moving, drums just filling. This is hard. I don't even know how I'm remembering this 17 years later. It's so crazy right here, bro. Whew. I don't know how I remembered that, but I did. See, that's the mistakes of it. The magic in this is mistakes. You heard the little guitar? That even sound better. I wish I made this later. I could get the little guitar in there and feel like I just jabbed it in. Watch. Woo, that was hard. That was hard. That little guitar was hard. Woo, that was hard. Woo, I actually got it. So now, once you got the basis of the beat, this is what I would do to just clean it up. So I would add the release to it sometimes. Let's see if we can add the release and clean it up. Sometimes I sit there and record this over and over till I got it the way I wanted it perfect. So now those second chops on point. I'm gonna actually solo it when it comes so you can hear how seamless it is now. So it wasn't as choppy as I did it before. So now it's moving with a swing now. When I was doing this record, it wasn't but 5 minutes before they was like, yo, record it in Pro Tools. Fiend had a hook. Man, when I heard the hook, I was like, damn, we brought it together. But one thing, he was like, bro, you gotta put the cannon drop in the hook because that means so much. You know, we got the AK-47 going off in the cannon. That was the last part. Right now, I'm gonna just go through a couple more parts and y'all can see what I did later. Like I said, this is all cleanup. So everything got turn up, turn down, turn up, turn down, everything level. So I think the gunshot's a little loud. So now we're getting some leveling going, getting everything even. I might have to put this beat back out with that little horn stab. That shit fire. That shit fire! Man, it's been a minute since we got on this phone, man.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. In these interviews, I'm always talking about you because a lot of the people need to know where, you know, it all started. The synergy we had when we was making the Cannon record was none other. Like the sample and just being at the original space right now is just almost giving me chills. And I was like, bro, there's no way in the hell I can do this without having Fiend to be able. I was like, man, I hope he in Miami can slide through, but this is good enough. I want to talk to you because I want to let the people know how influential and you are in your career and how much influence you had on me and coming to this session that we started with Trick Daddy. You know, people don't know that session started with Trick Daddy and you coming in there and then, you know, you one of the people that really got my ear about working with Currency. During these times, I was like, man, you was like, yo, you got to work with this young fellow, man. He dope. And I had met him already. And that's how we built the synergy. So, like, you play a big role in my life as far as rap music. I just wanted to go through some of the inspiration of this record. I know you heard the beat, but I never even got a chance to ask you what you heard to make you want to put the egg. Okay, do you remember the hook? I know a little bit. The Lord is my shepherd. Shall not take him away. Take it away. It's the 8. Hey, yeah, you're right.
I just blacked out, bro.
Yeah, I know.
And you being a pure enjoyer of hip hop, you just allowed me to be free and express myself
That's
off
right.
of the creativity.
That's right.
It was a no-brainer. You was up in there. We were like two kids.
Right.
Somebody let us get in the studio, you heard me? And just let us do our thing, you feel me? I could still hear me say, let me go to the booth.
I know. I just was telling him, I was like, yo, it wasn't even 5 minutes. He was like, yo, let me come to the booth. Let me go to the booth.
I knew we had something. Whether it was a scratch hook, whether it was a scratch bridge, whether it was just something to inspire.
That's right.
I knew we had something, and that was priceless.
That's right.
Working with you on that session, you heard me?
That's
and
right.
You being open-minded, bitter on some things that killed.
Yeah.
And I was grateful that Mike Karen allowed us to get in a session together.
That's right. That's right.
Trick had a session. We couldn't get Trick to get himself in the session. Trick told me he want to go to the strip club first before he do anything.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's
Trick
right.
was like, look, man, before I go to the session, I'm letting you know now I'm going to the Pony Club for 2 p.m.
That's right. But I know he was gonna come. He was gonna come with them lyrics. So I was just like, man, let me just wait. You know, we can have our fun. Because if he come in there, he gonna knock the shit out and roll.
The sessions were memorable, bro. I really, really wish we had GoPros up
Facts.
on the walls or
Facts.
something.
Or live, like Instagram live or something.
Cannon, you just always been the same awesome guy, and you always seem to put the craft first.
That's right. That's right.
And I always thoroughly enjoyed your natural excitement on making something new.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
And to this day, bro, like, there was a treat that Trick wasn't there at the moment.
Right.
Because it didn't make us get too boxed in
Yep.
to our brother Trick and just being in Florida.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But that environment, everything was great, bro.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
And like be alike. You a twin, bro. You put the craft first too, bro. I know you said, look, you still in there working.
Hey, I'm in the lab. It just so happened I'm in the lab in New Orleans. I could have been doing anything, but I'm in the lab in New Orleans.
That's right.
So
I need to send you some new shit. We need to get back in.
I love to. Whatever time you got for Canada, you know it's a green light, bro.
No doubt, bro. I appreciate you. See you soon, my G. Love.
All right,
Love, bro. Yep.
Love.
Peace.
Love.
Back with strong on rap, nigga. Into the street shit. Brand new crack on your mark. Let go. What? That shit was ringing.
Yeah.
You hear me?
What you got in this machine though, bruh?
Nothing. So look, I did the series, right? So I was going back to the original places where I did, you know, some of the records that everybody asked me about. So I recreated the beat from scratch, from memory.
Oh wow.
And I was doing it here, and it just happened. So I'm doing it the day you get here. You see
And
what type of
that's
energy?
that's the spooky shit. That's
fun.
and I've been in this room every day since last week Friday, and it's the only day that I'm not in this room.
That's crazy.
Cause my brother got the
I'm
room
outta here.
recreate.
I'm
No.
telling
Nah. You recreating the magic.
Yeah. Yep.
Find another one of the magic
That's
moments
crazy.
while you at that
BB
moment.
ain't say nothing, bro. He knew what I was doing. He knew the whole thing. He's like, oh, he comes in and says, yeah, you know Busta's out there. I said, oh, shit.
And that nigga told me earlier today, he said, you can't be in there today. Bro already booked the room, but he ain't tell me it was you. I get here, this nigga said, look, nigga Don Cannon outside.
That's normal.
The nigga loved to disconnect the dots on some surprise shit.
Facts,
Like
bro.
the nigga got a bunch of birthday cakes for
Right.
that.
I tried to get in here yesterday. He talking about something. Yo, I can't tell you in there. But listen, can you move to Friday, please? I'm saying, bro, you ain't gonna do that without telling me who in there.
Before you leave,
I'm gonna put the pack in there for you.
cook
I ain't
something
worried
up,
about it.
please.
Nah, I got the pack already ready.
I love you and good
Love
seeing
you,
you.
bro.
Congrats, King.
Thank you, brother.
Tell them niggas on your roster stop running from these bars.
The first time I heard Cannon Remix playing live was the Busta Rhymes version, Crown mixtape, The Crown, that we did, me, Sense, and Drum. And I heard it out at a club and they played that joint and it was like, oh, we might got one with this, you know? So I forget the name of the club, but I know it's when we walked in that, you know, that was the first time I heard it. The first person to remix the record, so it went Busta Rhymes, believe it or not, Bo Hagen, which was signed to Little John at the time, T.I., Lil Wayne, Willie the Kid, Freeway, Detroit Red was also on it, and the replacements, which was Tech Beats and Juice from Chicago, Tech Beats from Georgia, were all on the record. We were moving it around. It was really Drum's record. We were moving around, getting different artists on it. Once they heard Wayne, T.I., Busta on it, then everybody out the woodworks come. It became the freestyle record that you wanted to be on, or the battle record that you wanted to be on. The Cannon record went over my expected thought process of how far it can go. I thought hip hop records couldn't go from underground to people's favorites, to commercial, back to people's favorites, and just stay there. I always thought that some records could get played out 18 years later, and it's still refreshing to hear people want to rap on that record. I didn't know it was going to be that, but it was that. I wanted to be able to make history with Trick Daddy. No matter what he wanted to do, I wanted to make a record that people were like, yo, that record right there is crazy. Because what I knew deep down in my heart was Trick Daddy was one of the best rappers out of the South. From what I was hearing him do on records, even on the T.I. record and all these records, Trick Daddy was looked at as one of them good rappers, bro. And I was so excited to come down and work. And that's all I was trying to do is like, hey, I'm gonna give him a little East Coast flavor that's gonna make one of these records that's gonna be ring out all over the world to bring out how good of a rapper he was. And that was what I was focusing on. I was trying to get him to have a hip hop quotable. That's why I made that beat. Anybody knows the hip hop quotable is in the Source magazine. Every month they pick the best rap. And that's what I was trying to do because Trick Daddy was one of my favorites. There's Scarface, Trick Daddy, T.I., Bun B, Pimp C, all those legends. The Mount Rushmore for me in the South. And that's all I was trying to do. I talk about the mini CD player a lot. That was the first thing I did. I was always on some technology stuff. I always wanted to be the first one to have the newest thing. What I would do was take all the samples, put them on there, and just move around with it in my pocket like it was, you know, a floppy disk. A lot of people had those CD players, and I would just pop them in and just go through the samples. I probably had the sample from record to mini disc for about 6 months maybe. I had a special group of samples that I always wanted to hold. Like I said, I always went for Curtis Mayfield, I always went for Barry White, I always went for those loud sounds, impressions and stuff. And I just had them for when I had to roll up on Busta and give him a fire beat. I never wanted to be in a room and couldn't come up with the idea that they was looking for based on those other records. There was a lot of pressure to make any rapper moving forward a better beat than Cannon or Go Crazy, and it stood the test of time. So every time I seen somebody, if that day was requiring me to make like a smooth beat, it was never good enough for the artist. So I had to try to figure out how to be able to duplicate that beat without duplicating that beat every time. So what I used to do with samples was, I ain't have a choice, but we had to record them. I had to listen to the whole record to be able to record it. That's the first thing in the process. The beginning of the record is the most prolific. The bridge is the part where people are most excited about. And the ending gets prolific again when people start playing, it goes out. It's similar to the intro most times. If you listen to that record, the beginning is doom, 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 doom. It gets you, it's prolific, then it goes into the doom, 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 doom. The end is like, dun, dun. So it's like any record I'm pulling up, I'm looking for those parts. Anytime the intro is set up, because groups back in the day, like the Impressions, they had to come to the stage and it's like, welcome, you know, the Impressions. You had to get, dun, 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 and the curtain comes out, and that's what I wanted to bring. And when you hear the beat like, dun, 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 it's like, oh shit, what's about to happen? So it's the prolific part that I love, and then you bring it down for them to rap, and you chop it up and do what you gotta do. So, you know what I mean? So that's what I did with the, you know, the actual sample. Yeah, y'all just watched the recreation of the Cannon remix right here in Circle House, the legendary Circle House. Thanks for all the guests that's coming through. We're coming back with another one. Keep watching. Holla.